Let me tell you a story. Back in the summer of 2018, I decided to step out of my comfort zone and signed up for an educational conference in southern England, not too far away from where I used to live back then. And it was a big step for me because at that particular time I was creating a free e-zine, which is like an online magazine for English teachers. And I wanted to share my work with other inspiring English teachers from all over the world, but also meet like-minded educators. So when I arrived, I didn't know anybody, but my heart was brimming with joy and excitement. So the very first night, there was a big party for all the teachers who were taking part at the conference. And it was really lots of fun. And there were big groups from Greece, Romania, Spain, Belarus, Russia, a few English teachers from England, a couple of American teachers. So it was like a lovely, joyful community of educators. And the organizers wanted a representative of each group to go and just say a few words. And what was really interesting was that at that particular moment, I realized that something was happening inside my body. I didn't want to say that I was the only Bulgarian there. So a teacher from Italy turned to me and said, "Marussia, you can go and introduce yourself." To which I quickly said no. And I realized how fast my heart was beating. However, the universe had a different plan. So a teacher from Belarus called the organizer, Giovanni, there is an English teacher here from Bulgaria." And of course, everybody looked at me and it was like I just wanted to drown. I wanted that earth to open, for me to vanish. So anyway, I stood in front of the group and Giovanni was holding my hand because it was shaking uncontrollably. And I felt so nervous. I just didn't know what to say. It's like my English had vanished. That's how it felt. My heart was beating so fast. I was sweating. I was aware I was blushing, and it made me feel extremely uncomfortable. So anyway, that moment of what I thought back then was embarrassment finished quickly, and then we parted. But later on, when I went back into the room, my bedroom, I started chastising myself. And I felt so bad for my behavior. But what I wanted to find out was also why I reacted in this way, why my body and my mind was so fearful. Something that I hadn't experienced before. And I had been in many situations when I had to speak English. I'd been working in England at that time for quite a few years now. So speaking English wasn't something new for me. But I think that at that particular time, I needed that push. I needed that step out of my comfort zone so that my teaching career could take a different direction. So that particular moment in the town of Street, in the beautiful private college, Milford College there, inspired me to find out more about the mind and the brain and the body and what happens in them when we are under a lot of pressure. And prior to that moment, I had suffered from depression. So it was through the power of mindful breathing and various mindful activities that I was able to heal myself. And what this actually helped me find out is that I was more attuned to my students. I realized that most of my students were under so much pressure. They were suffering either from anxiety, panic attacks. They were struggling to focus. They would often complain that they would read a lesson and they would struggle to remember the content. And I knew that my mission was to help them. So I started learning and taking new courses. And for the last 8 years, I have been using mindfulness tools, self-development tools, NLP techniques, so that I can empower my students and teach them that they have a superpower. And that superpower is called awareness. Being able to pause throughout the day and ask themselves, how am I feeling right now? What am I thinking about right now? And then if they find out that they're feeling anxious or stressed out, they can use any of the calming techniques that I have taught them. Or perhaps if they realize that they're too much in their mind, they're again in overthinking mode, they're fearful, or perhaps their limiting beliefs are telling them once again they will never become the confident speaker, the confident presenter, then I could help them rewire their brain so that they, first of all, believe in themselves, start rewiring their brain for a new life, a life where they feel powerful, where they feel inspired, a life when they're creative and they know that their dreams are possible. And I'm extremely inspired, if I may say so. I've been extremely inspired by my students, the transformation that I have seen in them, because through the work that we have done together, I have seen them step into their full power, unleash their potential, really unleash their creativity as well, and chase their dreams, not their parents' dreams, not what society tells them is right for them, but believe in their dreams and follow their heart. Because when we are a little child, a little boy or girl, we all have our dreams. But then we go to school and somebody tells us that we are an idiot, we are not good enough, we're not clever enough. Quite often parents can sing the same song, and this could be extremely disempowering for someone who was born to become a creator, who was born to become a writer, a singer, an artist, an architect, but most importantly, the architect of their life. And learning English has opened so many doors for me. Growing up in communist Bulgaria back in the 1980s, when I was first taught English, I fell in love with the language. And I was so obsessed with learning new words. It makes me feel emotional now. Learning new words. I didn't even know what some of them meant, but I loved the sound of those words. And I simply followed my heart, learning more, reading more, embodying the language. I would close myself in my bedroom, and I would just pretend that I would speak on a big stage. I would read texts from my textbooks back then. And English has changed my life immensely. My life is not recognizable. I am a different person because of, first of all, the way English changed me and the way English showed me that I can believe in myself and I can believe in my dreams, and the opportunities that have come onto my path, onto my life path, because I embraced English, because I fell in love with the language, and because I didn't choose to learn English because of an exam, because it was part of a textbook. I simply allowed myself to immerse myself in the language, to embody the language. I would listen to songs, I would dance while listening and learning the new words. And I guess that's the reason why nowadays I feel extremely passionate to use not simply songs, but visualizations in my work, because they really help the students embody the language, immerse themselves into a different world, the world of English, beautiful sounds, immersive sound effects, which will relax the mind and the body, but at the same time allow the student to learn without even realizing that learning is happening. So I'm curious to find out how learning English has changed your life, and I would love to read your comments under the video. I'll see you in the next one.